Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, we're going to create a Python program to export a channel's playlist content into Excel spreadsheet. So I was actually testing the program just now. So here, let me show you what the result looks like. So here, this is the Excel spreadsheet that contains the playlist information. And the playlist is coming from Google Developers channel. Not Google Maps, Google Developers channel. And turns out the channel has a lot more playlists than I expect. The exporting actually took much longer than I expect. So here, holy crap, we have this many playlists from Google Developers channel. So here, let me make a new tab. Google Developer. And if I go to the Playlists tab, and if I select all playlists, and these are all the playlists under this Google Developers channel. So it's quite useful if you want to get a copy of a channel's playlist contents. And let me see my notes. Alright, so before we begin, you need to install the Google Python client library using this pip install command. And you have a typo. You also need the source code to this google.py file, and the source code is in the description below. And if this is the first time you are using, you are working with Google API, then I recommend you go to the instruction on how to set up a Google Cloud project. The setup process is actually pretty easy and straightforward. You also need to download your client secret file, your project client secret file actually. And we name the client secret file as client-secret.json file. So to access a YouTube channel information, we'll be using YouTube Data API. So what you want to do is you want to first of all go to console.cloud.google.com and select a project that you want to use. Then go to navigation menu, APIs and services, and click on library. And here I want to search for YouTube Data API. And want to enable YouTube Data API v3. And once you enable the YouTube Data API, we can start writing the Python program. Alright, so let me close the Excel file. And I'll be using Google Maps channel for demonstration. Let me see how many playlists this channel has. Okay, not that many, just these. My channel has way too many playlists, so it's going to take way too long to export all the playlist contents. Right, so here let me terminate this session. So create a blank Python script, and I name my Python script demo.py. So I'll start with the import statements. And let me increase the font size. Alright, so I'll import a JSON module, datetime module, rigor expression module, and the pandas library, SPD. And if you don't have the pandas library installed, you can use the command pip install pandas. From Google API client .else, I want to import HTTP air type. Alright, so I'm going to copy paste a function that I wrote before for my other Python script. Alright, so this function is going to, so this convert duration function is going to look at a string value based on the duration string from the YouTube Data API. And you'll see in a second. But basically, here I'm using rigor expression to locate the text. And based on the text, I'm converting the string into appropriate second value. So eventually, this function will convert a string into second. Right, so that's the only function I'm going to import from my other script. Before we write the Python code, let's examine the flow first. Right, so when we look at a channel, if we want to export the playlists information. So if we go to YouTube Data API's documentation, so there are actually two different YouTube Data API resources that we need to use. So one is the playlists resource. The other one is the playlist items resource. So the difference between these two resources are using the playlists API or resource, we'll be able to extract just the playlist information, such as the playlist ID, playlist name, and when the playlist is created. But it's not going to give you the videos under a playlist. And using the playlist items resource, we'll be able to provide the playlist ID. Then the playlist items resource will be able to give us all the videos under a playlist. Now let's go back to the Python script. So the first thing I want to do is I want to retrieve the playlist. So here I'm going to create a function called retrieve playlists. And this function takes three parameters. So service, parse-string, and channel ID. Inside the function, I'm going to create an empty list. And I'll name this list playlists. Now I want to insert a try except block. And actually, let me change this to HTTP error. I want to grab the error message. And because the error message is going to be by string, and I want to convert that as a dictionary. So from JSON.loads, I want to load the content from the error object. Then I want to print HTTP error. And followed by the error message. Then I want to return an empty list. Right, now let's go back to the try block. So I want to grab the playlist using the playlists resource. Here the service argument hosts the connection to the YouTube Data API. So from service.playlists.list. And here we need to insert that execute to run the function. Inside the list method, here, let's go to the documentation. So inside the list method, we can extract different types of information. And I'll let you to read through the documentation on your own. And under the filters section, we can provide a channel ID, a playlist ID, and if you just want to extract your own channel's playlists items, then you can set the my value to true. And just make sure that you only provide one filter from these three categories. And here we have a couple other parameters. Alright, now let's go back to the Python code. So from the playlist, I want to grab the content details as well as the snippet information. And let's also import the status information. For the channel ID, and it's going to be coming from the channel ID argument. And I'll set the max results to 50. And that's for the first code block. Right, so from the response object, I want to transfer all the playlist items information to my playlists list object. So here I'll type playlists.extend. And from response object, there's a key value called items. And the items key contains all the playlists items. I also want to check if the next page token is available. So from response, here I'll use the get method, and I'll reference the next page token ID. Now in case if my result has more than 50 items, then this response object is going to contain the next page token. Now here I want to insert a while loop to do the validation. So while next page token is none, then I want to basically make another API call. Actually, I want to keep making the API call until the next page token returns as none. Right, so the only thing difference is inside this list method, we need to provide our next page token. And everything else is the same. Then I can return the prerequisites object. Now let's test out the function. So here I'll create a new function called main. Inside the main function, I'm going to create my constances. And this one's going to be client secret file. And this is going to be the file path to the client secret file.json file. Also need to provide the API name of the service that I want to use. It's going to be YouTube. Version name. And the scopes. Google APIs.com/AUTH/YouTube. In here, I'll create my service object. And from google.py file, there's a function called create service function. Inside the create service function, I need to provide my client secret file, API name, API version, and scopes. And I'll run the main function here. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all the code I want to execute manually. And I'll run it. Here, let me start over again. So here is my token file. The token file is generated after you authenticate your account. But here I'm going to delete this token file. And I'll execute line 54. Oh, here. So this is a function. All right, so let me do this. I'll execute this function manually for now. Here, maybe just this code block. All right, so because I don't have the token file generated already, so I need to authenticate my account. Here we can use any account we want to use. And once you get to this Google hasn't verified this app page, click on events and just click on this link to proceed. And this means that this app cannot be used publicly for any commercial related activities. Right, so we need to give permission to this program or to this Python script. So we need to allow all the permissions. And when everything is working successfully, you're going to see this message. The authentication flow has complete. You may close this window. Now if I print the members of the service object, and here we have all the resources for the YouTube data API. And to test out the function, let me create a new window. So the function is retrieve prerequisites. I need to provide my service argument. And the path string is here. I don't actually need to provide this argument. So just service object and channel ID. So let me recreate my function. And for the channel ID, so here let me create a variable called channel ID. So from Google Maps account, so here the channel ID got converted to the URL name. And this is not the valid channel ID. So here, let's do this. I'm going to click in a video. Then I will go back to the main page.
For the last 15 years.
Right, so on the top, we now have the channel ID. And it's going to be channel ID argument. Right, so I'll run these two lines. And let me close this window. So noticing that when I execute this function, and this, here, let me run it again. So this list contains all the playlist items from Google Maps from Google Maps channel. And let's take a look at how many playlists we have. So I should save this as playlist items. Right, so if I use the len function to grab the array count, and we have 22 playlists. And that's still a lot, actually. Let's take a look at just one of the items. Here, let me import a ppprint function. Alright, so here let me insert a ppprint function to print the record. So from the first record, we have information such as content details. Content details tells us how many videos is under this playlist. And this should be a title key value. And should be under snippet. Right, so here's the channel ID, channel title. And right here. So here's the playlist name. Let's go back to Google Maps channel. So you should expect that the first playlist name is called plus codes. So right here, the title matches. And the only thing I'm missing is the videos content. And here we have other information such as when this playlist is created. And here's the playlist description. Now let's go to the next phase or next step. And this one's going to be a little more challenging just because there are a lot more moving pieces involved. Alright, so this one's going to be retrieving all the videos content from a playlist. I'll create a function called retrieve playlist items. And we're going to provide a service object and the playlist ID. Alright, so I'll do something very similar. I'll create an empty list. And I'll name this list playlist items. So for this one, I named as playlists. Right. And it's going to be an empty list. I'll insert my try except block. And here, let's do this. So insert the HTTP error type. And I'll copy this code block. I also want to insert another error type. So this one's going to be capture. And here I'll change the message to error. Alright, so in the try block, I'll start by insert the service argument playlist items list execute. For the video information, the only thing I care about is the content details. Then I want to provide the playlist ID. And again, I'll set the mix result to 50. And I'll save the output response. Alright, so from the response option, I want to grab the contents. So I'll reference the items key. And from playlist items.extend, I want to import all the records from the response object. And again, if there's a page token available from response.gets, I want to check the next page token key. I want to print the token key when I'm retrieving the result set. I'll provide the next page token. Now to extract all the additional batches of contents, I'll insert my while loop and check against the next page token object. Actually, this should be a variable. Alright, so if next page token is not empty, then I want to make additional API calls. So I'll grab this code block. And for the page token parameter, is equals to next page token. Right, so that looks pretty good. And once everything's finished, I want to return playlist items list. Now let's test out this function. I'll create this function. And from here, let me put this back. Right, so here we have the playlist ID for this playlist plus codes. So I'll call this PID. So here I'll insert the retrieve playlist items function. I'll provide my service object and the playlist ID. I'll insert the ppprint function. Here, let me save this as response res. Alright, so let me run this function. And I'm getting token is equals to none. Let me print the res object res. Okay, so I do have information in this object. So here, let me do one more thing. Let me take out this print statement. And let's look at just one of the records. If we examine the record information, from the function, we're only accessing the content details information. And the content details information will give us the video ID and when this video is created or published. And all these informations are not relevant. Alright, so I forgot to mention, there's one more resource we need to use, and that is the videos resource. Using the videos resource, we'll be able to access a video information such as the video title, the video statistics. If we want to generate the HTML code to embed it onto website. Then we can use the player resource to generate the HTML markup. And status indicating that whether or not if the video is private, public, or on list. Alright, so I think that's it from the documentation. Now we have all the functions created. Now let's go ahead and extract the videos information individually. And I'll do that inside the main function. And before I create the main function, I want to do everything manually. So here I want to do one more thing. I want to insert an X at the end, and that makes this channel ID invalid. Now I want to run this function just to make sure that I'm getting the correct error message. Right, so here I'm getting the message, channel not found, and that's what I want. And yes, still okay. All right. And let's take a look at how many items we have from this object. So we have 12 records, and let me just double check. All right, so from the playlist, so we have 12 items. All right, that looks pretty good. Now let's go back. So here let me change the name to playlists. Here, this should be plural. And here I want to do a check. So if not, playlists. Then we know this playlist object is an empty list. Then I want to print a message. No playlist found. Then I want to return the function. And let me come out this line. I'll come back to that later. Now let me open an Excel spreadsheet. So when I export the playlist contents, each tab is going to represent a playlist. And each tab we're going to list out all the video information under that playlist. From the pandas library, I want to create an Excel writer object. And this is basically an instance of the Excel application. So from pd.excelwriter, inside the Excel writers class, I want to define my file name. Let's name this file as playlists for channel ID. Here we'll insert the channel ID. I also want to specify the date and time when this file is created. So the format. The first parameter is going to be the channel ID. The second parameter is going to be the current dates and time. So from datetime.now, I want to convert the time value to a regular format that Excel will be able to accept. Let me run this statement real quick. Okay, so it's going to return today's dates, actually current dates and current time in military format. Now what I want to do is I want to array every single playlist inside this playlists list. And I'll delete these two lines. Alright, so for playlists in playlists, I want to grab the playlist ID. Playlist title. Here, let me print the playlists record. Actually, just the first record. So from playlist and giving the snippet value, I want to grab the title. And I only need these two information. Since I'm not going to insert other playlist information to my Excel spreadsheet, and because I'm using Pandas library to handle the Excel information inserting tasks, that's why I'm only extracting these two items information. If I were using libraries such as Win32, Excel Writers, or even use the Google Sheets API to insert the playlist content information, then I should be able to insert the additional playlist information much easily. Once I have the playlist ID, and the playlist title will be the worksheet name, now I need to grab the playlist items. So insert my function, retrieve playlist items. I insert my service object and playlist ID argument. Now let me take a look at here. Let me grab these. So from the playlist items record, we have video ID and video published dates. So here let me store everything in a tuple. So I want to say that for V stands for video in playlist items. And it's going to be a tuple comprehension. And from V object, I want to reference the content details key. And that will save the video ID and when the video is published. I also want to create another list, and let's call this list videos info. And this videos info is going to be the list object we're going to use to insert to our Pandas data frame. Alright, so here I'm going to say that for batch, actually batch number in range, and basically want to array all the videos from the videos object. And because we can only extract 50 videos information at once, so we need to do it by batches. Assuming that there are no videos in a playlist, then this loop is not even going to run. Therefore, the videos info is going to return as an empty list when we create the Pandas data frame. And that's okay, because when we do that, you'll give us the playlist name inserted to the worksheet name, and the table will return as an empty table. So that will be a pretty good indication that for certain playlists, there are no videos. Alright, so here I'm going to say that for video batch is equals to videos, and I want to grab the videos. So from batch number to batch number plus 50. Then I want to make an API call. So let me rename this as response video. Actually, response videos. From service videos list. We want to provide the videos ID in a single string. Alright, so from video batch, and here let me see. Let me insert the map function, and I'll insert lambda function. So this is going to be my parameter. And I only want to grab the video ID. And I need to convert this to a list. And since that should be right, so I'll do a test run later. And for the information I want to retrieve, I want to retrieve the snippet information, content details, and statistics. And for the max results, it will only set up to 50. That execute. Right, so for the videos.list method, I will run this one batch at a time. Here, let me insert empty line here. Then I can put all the videos inside the videos info list. So response videos. I want to reference the items key. Alright, so let me put a break right here. And I'll run this loop here. Let me response videos. Alright, so let me run this loop. Generator is not subscribable. Let me print the videos object. Oh, I see why. So here I made a mistake in the range function. So this should be the total item count from the videos object. Oh, this should go inside. Right, so let me try again. So I'll run this loop. And I want to set here. Oh, okay, so I see why. I want this to be a tuple, not a generator. Right, so that was my mistake. Now let's try again. And this time we have the loop ran successfully. Now if I print the videos info list, and this should be pp print. And let's print the first record. Right, so here we have video number 1. Depending on your use case, so here we have the video duration in string format. And that's what we need to create a separate function to convert the string into digits. So that way if you want to do any sort of calculation, it's much easier to do it with integers. Here, let me insert the string. Alright, so that will give us 117 seconds. So this is going to be in seconds. And if we examine the text, so here's 1 minute plus 57 seconds. And same for hours, here let me insert 2h. Yep. And that's going to return 7,317 seconds. Alright, so let me delete this line right here. And we know the code is working. Now the last step is we just need to extract the relevant information we want to our Excel spreadsheet. So here in case if the videos info is empty, so I'm going to check if videos info is not empty. Then I want to create an empty list. I'll name this list rows. And to save me some typing, I'm going to copy paste the remaining Python code. So here we have the table headers and the information we want to export to our Excel spreadsheet. So here I'm basically just iterating each video's record from the videos info object. And the video item is going to give us the video information that looks like this. So this is what the video object looks like. And at this point, you're just basically slicing the information based on the information you want to access. So here I want to export the video ID, video title, description, video's duration. We don't know if the video is licensed. And here's the video publish date and video text and thumbnail URL. And here we have the statistics. So this is going to be the video's view count, like count, dislike count, and comment count. And lastly, we're going to insert the hyperlink to open the video. Now we need to save the information as a data frame object. So from PD, the data frame, we want to insert the rows object and the columns. So this is going to be data. So a worksheet name can only contain 30 characters, and it cannot contain any special characters or invalid characters when you create the worksheet name. So here it's giving me the error. Let me see. Oh, I forgot the closing bracket and close parenthesis. So here we have our data frame object. They want to create a worksheet name, and let's call this sheet title. And I'll grab the name from playlist title. And it's going to be the first 30 characters that I replace. Actually, let's do the other one. So we'll replace the special characters first. Now I'm going to take the df object to Excel, and I want to specify the Excel writer or the Excel instance I want to write to, followed by the worksheet name, and it's going to be sheet title. And I'm going to set the index to false. I don't want to import the index. And here I can save the Excel file. Save. Oops. And finally, output message, channel, playlist, report, exporter. Alright, so let me run this code block to see if the code works. So here I'm getting an error. Excel writer is not defined. Let's see. No engine for file type. Oh, I know why. So I forgot to specify the extension type. So it should be .xlsx. Alright, let me try again. So I just create the Excel writer's instance. Now let me run the this code block. Oh, this should go outside. Oops. Right, so this should go outside here. Alright, so let me just open one of the file. So we should expect just one tab. Actually, I have open. Okay. But let me fix the Python code. So the last step is we want to convert this to a function. So from here to here. And I'll name this function main. And we'll provide a channel ID value. And I'll come out this line right here. I'll save. And I'll put it right here. Alright, so let me create the main function. And I'll insert my main routine. So inside the routine, I want to create my channel ID variable first. Then I want to call the main function. And that's it. Now let me test out the script. So currently there's no Excel file in my project folder. And I'll terminate the session. And I'll press F5 to run the script. And it looks like the export process is complete. So here's my Excel spreadsheet. And here's my channel report. So for playlist number 1, plus codes, I should expect 12 videos. And if I look at the playlists, so all these are the playlist items from Google Maps channel. Now let's try a different channel. So let's try Adobe Photoshop's channel. I need to grab the channel ID first. And here, let me update the channel ID. All right. All right, so the export is finished. Now let's take a look. And it should be PFQ. So it should be this file right here. Alright, so I see that from this playlist, the Russell Brown show will only have one video. And just to confirm that, yep, so one video, followed by 24 videos. And yeah, everything looks pretty good to me. So here's the playlist for 2016 Photoshop release videos. Alright, so this is everything I want to share in this video. And hopefully you guys found the video useful. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.